Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pail, steel toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure.
Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
Sorry, Nick. Suck it, Gelso. We're singing tonight.
Yeah, Gelso.
After a loss. After a loss
nice,
last night, a little comeback.
A nice balm to soothe your wounds from last night. A palate cleanser,
Yes.
if you will.
Bath bomb.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
What was
You
that?
know, we don't have to. You know, what we don't have to worry about this panic meter. Not tonight.
Wow,
We don't have to worry about
Look at Noah and her green goggles. The green goggles are on.
green tinted goggles. We don't have a panic meter tonight. But it started not great.
It started panicky. Yeah, ugly. Ugly.
Panicky. Jimmy was calling for it.
I said I already hate this. I was ready for just like one of those just sit there, watch a game, and just be miserable for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't hit anything. It's just they just couldn't hit anything. And then Tatum snapped out of it. And you know how he did it? Got to the line, got to the hoop. They drove. That's what they did all game.
So that's it. That's the ball game. That was like my only Twitter comment of the game. Like that was it. Tatum, it all turned around when Tatum was like, F it, putting my head down, I'm gonna go. That was it. And that, I mean,
he hates that it worked. He hates that it worked because he'd rather step back and shoot it. But it worked.
You know, I was following along. I think it was Corrales on BSJ, and he had a comment, just in his live chat on the Boston Sports Journal website.
I'm a BSJ subscriber, by the way.
Yeah, I'm a subscriber. I like all those guys over there. I think it's the best group of talent in town. But anyway, so like I don't want to go all like boomer about like 3-pointers ruined the game, change the rules, the Celtics, it's so boring. But like there's just something to be said for, a player like asserting their will and their dominance by going at you versus getting hot, right? And Corrales' comment was watching a guy dominate, getting to the rim and finish over people feels more special than a guy getting hot from three. One is a hot streak, another is work and creativity. And I agree 100%. And like, that's it. Like the shot, you're just like, I hope it falls, especially when it's the shots that you're like forcing. Like with Tatum, I think so much of it is a shot profile with him, as much as it is hot and cold. Somebody's yelling at me about my mic.
Well, your mic is being funky a little bit. Yeah. It's
I got it. Bad setting. I'm back now.
Okay. There. You said.
Apologies. It clicked over to a different setting. I totally agree with that, but it's like, it's not just that. It's just, I mean, you can count on that more consistently. Like you can spot up from three or try to pull up and it's just not falling in that game. And it's like, shrug your shoulders and move on. But in this game, when you've got mismatches, which, oftentimes you're going to almost every team that you play, and you're getting these switches and you're getting Tatum on it, the ability to just attack and get downhill is great. He finished creatively. That lefty finish is one of the best ones I can remember in a long time. And that stuff is just great. And that's what got them all going. And I think after that, everything just kind of, because I mean, how much does it open up from there? Again, it's not all threes are created equal. Bobby was texting earlier in the game. There's just jack the first open three that you have versus work for it, get the other team in rotation, have them moving all over the place, make the passes. And it's like, it's not an accident that Tatum on a day he scores 36 points also has a 10 assist game, because it just opens up so many more possibilities. So it's just such a better way for them to play is start with that, work it, get the defense all, running around.
Get them in the washing machine is what I call it.
Yeah.
You see the defense in the washing machine. They don't know if they're up or they're down. They're running all over the place.
Yep.
And the Celtics control the offense. That's what you want to see. But on certain nights, when Tatum isn't feeling it, or when whoever it is feeling it right off the bat, they can go one of either two ways. They continue to force the shot, and it's just not happening, or they say F it, like Tatum did tonight, and he just went head down to the rim. Nice, and again, he's got some great moves. He's got some great little drive moves, post moves. He can get to the rim just as good as anybody, if not better. He just chooses not to do it a lot of times because it's sexier to hit the 3-point shot. That's the sexy shit. That's what it is, John. And I agree with you and Corrales to a point. But when a guy's hot, a guy is hot, and that's all you want to see is nylon, as Scal said last night or whenever it was.
There's something sexy about it, but it's like, but it's
go to work like at the 3-point line, dancing and doing his thing. That being said, yeah, I mean, when he does it at the rim, it's also entertaining and things like that. I get it. I see what you're saying. But when a guy's hot, a guy's hot. And that's all I'll say about that.
But to me, it's less about like, yeah, it's fun. Like you have those games where they're literally hitting everything, and it's fine. And and again, when it's a Pritchard and a Hauser, that's a different story because like that's where you expect them to make their bones. And like that's fine. It's like that's what you want out of those guys. I mean, at the end of the day, they shot really well. I mean, back up. I mean, they shot 40% in that loss yesterday. They shoot, but the number was low. They're averaging over 50 this year. They only put up 45. Bobby was, and again, I think that number came down in the second half. Just in terms of how many they had. And what? Sorry. I'm getting texts from the field. They shot 49% from 3 tonight, 22 out of 45, but they attacked. And again, it shows in almost all of the numbers. Again, assist numbers are going to be high when you're making so many shots, but 35 assists tonight is nuts.
Working the ball around. Yeah,
and just an incredibly low turnover game. So, I mean, it goes back to the whole formula. And you always wonder, like, going to Tatum's comment from the other night, Jimmy, of like, yeah, it's going to happen, like acknowledging the championship hangover sort of thing. Like so going back to your comment, you say sexy, I say lazy. I think a lot of time when they fall in love with the 3, it's a little bit lazy. It's just, it's easy. This and that, on Corrales' comment, this is work. Like, this is more work to do it. It's harder. It is easier to just sit back, jack threes, hope they go in and have an easy night and go home. But this is work because you're going, you're attacking, you're taking contact, playing through contact, and then you have to find people and you have to do stuff. And yeah, it does take creativity, but like, look what comes out of it. And again, it was, just across the board. As soon as they started doing that, everything opened up like crazy. And then just the shots just started falling and that was it, lights out. So again, needed this off of yesterday because that keeps the panic meter at bay, right? Like Absolutely. You drop another one here, or you lay another egg back to back against these crap teams, people start talking. And like, that's always what it comes down to. And that's what they did last year is they didn't let these things snowball. They'd like identify it. This sucked. Let's fix it and put it to rest. And like, again, we said it last year. I mean, we said it last night. How many of these games last year where they had like a shit game or normally like if it was one of those Brad Stevens teams or, the teams from 2 years ago, we'd lose our minds. Here it comes. Bad habits creeping back in. They're never going anywhere with this team. Just didn't happen last year. They'd almost not just right the ship with a win. They'd write it with a resounding win. So again, that's what this was tonight, which was good. But yeah, hats off entirely to Tatum for this one. I think just in terms of not just getting hot, but the approach.
100%. Yeah. I mean, he's been really good in these first quarters. Obviously, he's playing more. He's playing entire first quarters now, as opposed to last season and previous seasons when they would get subbed out. So we used to talk about how it was Brown who used to be the guy to just come out firing in these games. Brown was the guy off the top, and then Tatum would ease into it, and then he'd come alive in the second quarter. It's completely different now. Tatum just gets hot early on, and that's honestly why the biggest reason why you're going to see his points per game increase this year, John. And I know that's against one of your bold predictions. But I think his points per game are going to shoot up, and it has a lot to do with the fact that he's just starting off a lot sooner than he ever has. So, yeah, credit to them. It was ugly to start, and Tatum was the guy. Tatum and Brown got going a little bit too, but those were the guys to right the ship there, and that's what you're gonna lean on for the most part. I mean, Derek was not a Derek White game. 3 early fouls for him. He had to get taken out. He never really got into the swing of things. You know, he played as best he could with being in foul trouble in the second half of that game, but not the Derek White that we've seen for the majority of this season. So
that's about as rough a start as Derek White's going to have to a game. You could see he was frustrated the whole time. He knew he put himself in a couple bad positions. He got trapped down low too often. Celtics have to do a better job of keeping him out of that. So he was in a bad spot a couple of times too on those fouls, but 3 first quarter fouls, and he was so pissed off about it, you could tell. And then Joe saves him from another one with that challenge on that block, which was again a ridiculous Derek White block, but definitely come accustomed to it. But yeah, I mean, even there again, I mean, that's the beauty and the depth of this team. You've got Derek White, which was pretty much neutralized for a lot of the game just because he was in foul trouble and he wasn't able to do anything. He didn't have a good shooting game either. And then the centers were kind of all over the place tonight. It was like, pick your poison tonight. If you're a Luke guy, maybe you can make a case for, Luke tonight. If you're a Keita guy, maybe you make a case for Keita. They both weren't great. And at times, the Nets did a good job especially Keita, getting him out in front of the basket, and driving on him. And a couple of times, same thing with Luke, getting him out in space, and then he drops back 30 feet off a shooter, and they just hit an open shot. So it really wasn't an ideal game for the centers. But again, you live with them. You're winning games without. Again, is
anybody ever like, oh, this is going to be a good matchup for the Celtics centers tonight? Like, no, it is what it is. We just got to.
It's exactly it, right? Yeah. It's like, what are we talking about here? Imagine a year ago saying that the Celtics would be able to beat a team by 30 points with the centers of Keita and
Cornette.
And Cornette. You'd be like, okay, buddy.
Yeah. Listen, they're just going to be out there, and everyone needs to just kind of figure it out around them. They both do different things. They both sometimes do it well. Sometimes they're lost out there, and the Celtics have like 4 all-stars around them at all times. So it is what it is. Like, sorry, Luke.
Sorry, Luke.
Keep forgetting that he's like,
he's here every show. It is weird. It's like we do have to talk differently.
You get it. I mean, it's nothing personal, but like
knowing that Luke watches every show, we do have to watch. To watch all of it. But here's the thing: is Cornette was awful when it counted, but he's awful. Sorry, Luke.
Again, he's right here, but we have to say it.
He's Luke Cornette, guys, and it's Neemias Queta. Let's not pretend they're other people. Okay,
right. They will show flashes. They will show flashes, but that is just what that is. It's a flash.
Okay? You're surviving. You're surviving when they're out there, and you can do that.
But you can survive. You can actually still thrive with them out there, not because they're out there, but despite them being out there.
Right. That's what's so funny is all of the time we spend going over who plays, and at the end of the day, it really barely matters, and in the long run, it barely matters because right now they're battling over minutes, but I mean, it's a joke and it's a catchphrase, but they're third centers. They're both your third centers. Okay.
They're your third center.
They are your third centers.
Yeah.
And you do get flashes from Keita. And again, I like it. I like that little one-handed push shot that he's got. That's a teeny bit of touch in there. Obviously the offensive rebounding's always, the offensive rebounding is always a weapon. And then you just see flashes of Rob. That first block that he had, his hands up over the square on that. I mean, that's...
Everybody drink. A Rob acknowledgement.
I could do tonight's show about Rob's game last night, and I would be fine.
I know. I had to read it. I had to read the show this morning on my way to work. 1,000 words on Rob. Unbelievable.
I don't know how to feel. I'm happy. I'm sad. FOMO. I have massive FOMO right now. Seeing other people experiencing Rob. In the way that we used to experience Rob.
I don't know how you experienced him. I know how I did. I don't know how you did.
Oh, it was hard. It was
In a
a
dark
tough one.
room somewhere, I guess. But
It was really hard.
I bet. I bet.
It was really hard. No, I did. I did. I did.
You did
Whatever
alright.
Bobby feels for Luke, it's that
Sure.
times 10. And
Yeah.
so, like, look, you see little bits of it, and that's honestly all you need, and that's fine. And yeah, maybe it is a tease, but it's great. But yeah, again, you don't need these guys doing much, and when they give you any contribution, that's fine. But across the board, it was pretty good throughout.
The
I
Nets.
so
I mean,
back on the Tatum stuff. I can't quite figure it out, right? Like, why do we? This was a ridiculous game. Like, this is like wrap up the MVP, it's over sort of game. But it's pretty interesting. I dug into the numbers a little bit today, just because it's like, why am I always
You had time.
annoyed? I had time. It's also my job, Jimmy, to come up with interesting little nuggets like this.
You do good.
Okay?
You're good at it. You're good at it. Keep doing it. Let's hear these nuggets.
It's part of what I do. So I went in and I was looking.
I'm
let me
pulling
see
up
if
the
I can-
MVP odds right now. That's what I'm doing on my phone.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm
just want to
curious for
see
that too.
I just want to see where he's at.
I'm curious about that. Let me pull these up because
Set
what
limits.
is it about
No.
Tatum? Is it like some of the mopey, some of the whatever, and this and that? Like, what is it that's bugging us? And I think I'll put it on the screen. What is it that bugs me?
Do you want me to give you the
Here it is.
MVP odds? You want to wait?
No, give me the MVP odds while I pull this
All right.
up.
All right. He's top 5. Do you want to guess where he is in the top 5?
I would guess he's second.
He is 3rd.
So is it AD and Jokic both ahead of him?
Strangely enough, AD on this list is 6th, probably because they don't trust that he'll last the season.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But it's Jokic and SGA are 1 and 2, and then Tatum is 3, Luka is 4, Anthony Edwards is 5.
Oh, we put a poll up there. That's fun, guys. Give me the poll on a graphic. We'll put it up
Nick,
there. So here
What's the poll?
about the theme song and whether Gelso has no taste. So here was what I put up there. Right? Can you see it?
Yeah. Let me squint.
I
here.
put this over on Blue Sky where I've gone now,
Oh,
and it's like
no wonder I didn't see it.
I'm a much more peaceful person. But I wrote this out
just
here.
so you know, we don't want that. We need Boomer John.
Just
Nobody wants
just
peace.
listen.
All right, go.
So Tatum, if you take out just the Knicks game over the next 11, like his overall season splits for this whole like Tatum has fixed his shot thing that we declared instantly. Talk about small sample sizes. After the Knicks game, done. He fixed it. It's over. Great. The shot looks good. All the shot doctors, gave their final diagnosis. He was checked out of shot hospital and he was fine. He got to go home after one game. And overall, his shooting splits, 45.5, 35.8, 81.3, are all down from last year on the season. And again, it's only 12 games and down from his career averages. Remove that Knicks opener, just the opener, field goal percentage 42.9, 32.6 from 3 with an EFG of only 52. So bad, like actually bad shooting. So like what's been bugging me this whole time is like you're looking at the totality of all of his stats and like why am I annoyed with Tatum? And it's like, well, actually he hasn't been shooting that well. And I wasn't sure how much of it was shot profile or just maybe we mythologized this whole fixed shot thing, which wasn't actually a thing, because he's not
doing more
it.
efficient. He's had a couple of stinkers.
I was a little surprised looking at the numbers that it was that uneven.
I mean, he did have that, like, I don't even want to mention it, but the 18 field goal.
Well,
Three,
the
three-point
difference
attempts
is, and the true shooting percentage is much higher on the season because he's getting to the line a lot more, and he's shooting more threes. So even if the percentage is down, that's factoring in a little bit more. So it's not like he's ineffective offensively because, again, the true shooting percentage is up like 62, 63 on the season. It's significantly high. I'm just simply talking about, did he fix the shot? That's all. Not that he's not playing well. And reality is it wasn't. So again, you talk about Tatum just being simply an eye test sort of guy. I think that's part of it is people are watching and like, he's not hitting shots. What am I looking at here? And again, there was a lot of those lines, those 2 of 8s from 3, and stuff like that, 3 of 11. It hasn't been great. And I'm wondering how many of those things have to do with, the choices, that he's making and the step backs. And like, I almost hate it. Like he hit his first step back tonight. I'm not like pouring cold water all over it. I almost hate when those go because that normally signifies he's going to try to cook. So I was actually glad that he ended up going the other direction with it and started taking it to the basket. Because when he gets into that, here I go, heat check time, then it just kind of stays there. And you have a few of those games where he'll start and he'll hit 2 or 3 of those. And you're like, oh, he's cooking. And all of a sudden you look and he misses his last 6 because he just falls in love with that. So I don't know if it's like that old Kobe mentality or like what you said, Jimmy, about it being sexy or something. But leaning back into that, when he doesn't do that, everything comes so easy, right? It's like so much easier for him, both in terms of like being able to find people or just driving and kicking. Like the game flows so much easier when he's not just looking for that type of offense. So again, I don't know how much of that has to do with shot profile versus just he's not drilling it or whatever. But again, he's really only had 3 or 4 like really good shooting games all year.
So, I mean, the biggest difference would be the 3-pointer attempts, right? Or just the 3-pointers in general. I mean, he's taking 3 more per game than he did last season. He's hitting 1 more per game. Obviously, those percentages his 3-point percentage has dipped. He's more efficient inside the 3-point line. And again, John, it goes back to, does he want to do it? Or does he want to park himself at the 3-point line and take the step back or the forced one, take the hero shot, the heat check that he mentioned recently? That's the one side of Tatum. The other side is shoulder forward, head down, bulldoze your way to the hoop or make your move to the hoop and get the 2 that way. And then he'll get fouled, get 3 the hard way, as they say.
Yeah.
But he's, what is he, 3rd in the league right now in 3-point attempts behind LaMelo Ball, who is obviously, LaMelo Ball. So that's self-explanatory. And then Anthony Edwards is right there with him. And that's, the way that, you could go back to previous seasons, and I'm sure he'd be leading the league with those numbers because the 3-point shot has just exploded over the last few seasons. So it's kind of uncharted territory. And, obviously a game where he shoots 18, that's going to skew the numbers a bit. But
so, yeah.
It all has to do with those outside shots.
These 2 comments I totally agree with here. It's like, it almost goes back to the Olympic conversation with Tatum. Yeah. It's like, why wasn't he playing as much? Because they wanted Tatum to be LeBron, but LeBron was LeBron. Like they wanted that kind of point forward sort of situation there out of that position. And that's, again, everyone's been clamoring for it. Like, put the ball in his hands, let him do his thing. It's great when one of those things eliminates just me going ISO, stepping back and just shooting shots and hoping I start cooking, because that could go one of 2 ways. And reality is, looking just at his numbers with that style of play, that isn't great. He's not elite at that. He's not an elite difficult shot maker, but no. he's an elite difficult shot taker. So it's almost just like just a limit.
Let me find the hardest shot to take right now, man.
So then when we have comments like this, and I'm not calling you out, Scarborough, and thank you for watching. It's valid. Like, this is the valid defense of Tatum. He's a star. Stars take these shots. Sometimes they go cold. That's fine, but there's a kind of a tipping point on it. And Tatum has been not great at this for a few years now, but so great when he opts not to do this. And that's the thing, is like the evidence is so laid bare on and so that's why I made my bold prediction prior to the game. I'm like, he's done with the cooking. He's just going to play and let it flow through him, because you see it happen in the playoffs when the attention comes up. He takes fewer of those shots and he distributes the ball more. His assist numbers goes up. This is the first time in his career he's over 5 assists a game right now. Tatum's got like 2 triple doubles in his life. Jason Tatum should have 20 triple doubles in his career.
Well, he could have had one tonight. He could have had one.
He could have, but what I'm saying is he should have a zillion triple doubles. For what he can do in his skill set, he should have them all the time. He should just go out there and say, I want to average close to a triple double one year and see if I can do it. Because he probably could. So it's so bizarre to me that you can have games
like this. I mean,
where he does it all, and you see it. Yeah, and you're just like, oh man. So it's so easy to eliminate that stuff and play a perfect game. I guess that kind of comes back to the frustration, because you see one like tonight and you're like, oh yeah, man, go to the basket, friggin' pick people apart. And then most of the threes, with the exception of 1 or 2 that he took, were totally in rhythm. Just catch it and step into it, 1 dribble, shoot. Much like that. I mean, just a much better shot profile, because again, things are moving. He's moving around. He's relocating. He's catching. You got, so again, it's when you see this, you're like, yeah, all the time, all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I just lost my train of thought, but I just lost my train of thought completely. I just lost my train of thought completely.
This was funny, by the way. Jalen sabotaging his triple doubles. Tatum clearly was looking for at least that 10th assist. The rebound comes or it doesn't.
At the end.
But he had that one pass at the end where he guns it to Jalen under the basket, and Jalen whips it to the corner for a 3. And Tatum's going to be like, dude, go up with it, man. And then he gets it on the next one on the lob to Cornette. But that was funny as hell. Brown's right under the basket, and he doesn't even think about going up with it.
I know what I was going to say regarding the assist, and I said it a little bit earlier, but it would be extremely easy for him to average close to 10 assists a game with this team around him. I mean, how many guys in this team can take over offensively, if given the opportunity? And a lot of these shots that Tatum's taking, I'm sorry, but I mean, you said it earlier, John, they're tough shots. These outside shots here, it's not like he's taking wide open shots. There are guys, sometimes 2 guys on him. And it's going to be up to him to decide whether or not he wants to emphasize, prioritizing assists or prioritizing getting his teammates involved in that capacity, or doing the heat checks, trying to get to the 30-point marker every game, or whatever it is. What are his priorities? It's one of the things we asked before the season started was, how does winning a championship change the way these guys play, or change what they want to set out to do? Is his priority to lead the league in points? His priority to be MVP? Is it to win another championship? Is it to average a triple double or whatever? You know what I mean? They're talented enough where he can kind of pick and choose what he wants to focus on. But he's on such a good team where if he were to defer a little bit more to Brown or to White or to Holiday or, Porzingis when he comes back. I mean, Pritchard is a guy now that can easily give you 20 points a night if given the opportunity. There's so many guys in this team where you shouldn't have to be taking tough shots, right? I mean, there's always going to be somebody left a little bit too open if you're taking a tough shot. And that player, unless it's one of the centers who we already touched on, we're not going to talk about the centers again because one of them's watching. But those are the only guys really that don't need to have their hands on the ball, that you don't want to be shooting.
Yeah. Well, look at it. I mean, last night, even Green Goggles Noah, took a couple swipes at Tatum, and his defense and his effort kind of being spotty, and how much of that has to do with the offense, not having your offense going, or the shots not going in, and the throwing the hands up and this and that, and or just getting into your feet, getting into your feelings. How much of that affects the defense? It's not. It's
It's classic though.
It is. It's so funny. But I get what you're saying. It's like you see this and you're like, dude, do this every time. Like he pitched a perfect game tonight. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. It was incredible. It's like exactly what you want to see. But it's like I'm packaging the two together, and I'm packaging the last few games together, and all of this, which is like, this was great. No one
Yeah.
wants him gone. I agree, Blorp.
Yeah, let's start that up too.
We'll just let you know that that Noah and Bobby are, what's his name? The guy who works for us.
That guy,
Funny guy, wears a hat
wears a
sometimes.
bucket hat, wears a beanie. He's a man of
Wears a
many
little beanie.
hats. Actually, he's in Brooklyn. He better have. He was one
That
day early
fucking
on.
hipster needed that hat tonight. Yeah.
He was one day early on the beanie. He was. You know what he was doing, John? He was dry run. It was a dry run. He was just testing out the look.
I'm gonna debut this in Brooklyn tomorrow, and everyone's gonna think I live here. Yeah.
Yeah. Although he shaved the mustache too soon. He should have cut the mustache for Brooklyn.
He did. So we're gonna hear hear from Bobby and Noah in a little bit. For sure. We're also going to hear from Payton Pritchard. We've got him coming in from the locker room. Another amazing game from Pritchard. I tweeted, I blue skied this as well. That was my other observation. It really is amazing.
It's Grace. You should start calling it Gray Sky with you. Everything you're posting over there is negative.
No, you're so clever.
Gray Sky.
You are funny. It almost feels like the Celtics are like waiting for the first Pritchard sub in to start playing a game recently. Like they just do nothing, and they're like, "Hey, Sparky, can you get in here?"
Yeah. Start running around. Do that thing.
Start running around, and then we'll see it, and we'll catch on, and like you just start hitting shots and shit, and then we'll do that too.
Yeah. Energy guy, get in here. Bring him in.
Come in here, spark it up.
Even Cornette, you're running around.
Yeah. While we wait for this stuff to load, we'll tell you about our sponsors here on the Garden Report, and we are of course going to start with Prize Picks, right?
Absolutely.
Prize Picks, best place to get real money, sports action, over 10 million members, billions of dollars awarded in prizes. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy sports accessible to you all, and it is the exclusive daily fantasy sports app of the CLNS Media Network and, of course, of the Garden Report. Pick more, pick less, 2 players, shot up to win 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, and I love it. My favorite sport by far is NBA, so I've been so glad that the NBA is fired up again because I just feel like I've got a little bit more control over it than everything else. It's less arbitrary. You just kind of feel it. And like I said, Pritchard right now is my guy when it comes to Prize Picks, and I don't think you can go wrong.
They haven't caught on yet?
They haven't caught on. You go more on Pritchard. I started our director of sales, Guy Neer, was the first one to throw it down, and I was like, I'm doing that. I'm going with Pritchard, and I've been riding that, and it's been hitting for me. But again, you should check it out whenever you want. There's a great fun features that you can take part in every single day. There's Taco Tuesday, discount select players up to 25%, which gives you even more value. Sometimes you're just getting flat out free squares. Some players, all you have to do is hit more than 0.5 points, which is an automatic. So it's great. So you got to check in on those and make sure that you're taking advantage of that opportunity. And you got to take advantage of this special offer. You download the app today, use code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's it. Download the app, code CLNS, 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even have to win. You just have to play. Prize Picks, run your game. That's what I have to say about that. I also want to tell you about Game Time, which is terrific. And again, is the Cavs game home or away? That's coming up. We got a good one coming up because the Cavs won again.
Either way, though.
It's
either
home.
way.
Tuesday. So you've got little break in Saturday, Toronto, bit of a trap game at the Garden. And then Tuesday, the 19th, ding, ding, ding. Ring the bell. Cleveland, you're hoping. I hope they still come in here undefeated because they are. But yeah, get involved here with Game Time. Great ticket marketplace where you can go and get seats to your favorite games, or doesn't matter. It could be concert shows. It's great. All in pricing, panoramic views from your seats, which I love. Use that code. You see it on the screen right there. CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Nice. That goes a long way here because again, some of these are really difficult to get into.
That's a beer at a Celtics game that you get a free beer basically.
Yeah. So again, go check it out. There's stuff that you want to see, and Game Time is the place to do it. Once again, use that code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Best seats, lowest price, guaranteed when you use Game Time today. So back to the game, and we did talk about it. He's a sparky guy. That's how you coined him. And again, the Payton Pritchard stuff has gone beyond like this is cute, like this is going well and all of that stuff. Like, he's legit now, and like other teams have to like worry about him and game plan for him, and like he's doing stuff way beyond like, oh, okay, occasionally he hits some threes. And I mean, we had a lot of games last year, or in the last 2 years, where Pritchard would come in, he'd have a good game, and you'd be like, are we starting to see Pritchard turn the corner? And then he'd play another and do nothing, zero. And like, you don't have those anymore.
Also wasn't getting enough burn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
36 minutes is insane. But that was also White was in foul trouble. Yeah.
Of course. I'm saying last year.
No, I know. I agree. Totally.
Yeah. Had come in in like a pinch when they needed a spark, right? And would give him a spark, and then he'd come out. It was like kind of that. Or sometimes you might stay in a little bit longer, but now it's like he has a legitimate role in this rotation. He understands his role. He's probably much more in love with his role this season than he ever has been. What?
Stop flicking the mic, Jimmy.
I'm not flicking the mic.
You're doing things.
Did I do something?
Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
Still doing it.
I'm not doing anything. You're the mic. You got the mic issues, not me. Unbelievable. Pritchard. Anyways, 6 minutes. We laughed. I mean, you actually bullied Joe Sway out of what is gonna probably be a good prediction that.
Oh, fuck him. He's gone.
I know he's gone, but you bullied him off the show, and you bullied him out of his prediction.
I did, and I'm not done bullying him.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't. I just didn't want 4 out of 6 panelists to pick it.
Right, but it turns out it wasn't very bold because here we are. It's about to happen, right? And credit to Pritchard. Answer me this, John? How do you game plan for a guy who just outworks you, out hustles you, outplays you, picks you up full court, runs laps around? Like, how do you even game plan for that? It's just like, hey guys, just be ready for this like menace. This guy's a menace out here. That's pretty much what he is. And by the way, he can hit 30-footers too. So you got to pick him up and stay on him the whole time. And then God forbid there's an inbounds with under 10 seconds left. The entire world stops and everyone's just watching Payton Pritchard now, expecting that he's going to get the ball and, do some sort of last second, magic. I think the word is out on that. I will say that much.
Yeah. The word is out. And again, it's not even that. It's like, it's not having drop off. It's funny because I'm going to bring this up later because I want to hear what the other guys think. The roster construction is weird right now because you've got currently in your top 6, in your top 6 currently, you have 3 point guards, which is weird. It almost goes back to the Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White logjam before. So now you've got a bit of a dilemma unless you're going to go 3-guard lineups, which you're not going to do when Jalen and Jason are healthy. It's strange to keep somebody off right now. Like Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Payton Pritchard are 3 of your most dependable players right now. It's actually weird to pull one of them out of the game at any point in time. It's great throughout the game because there's literally no drop off. So when you say, how do you account for them? You don't. It's like never losing a starter now. We talked last year about how it's basically 6 starters with Al Horford. Well, now it's 7 starters with Payton Pritchard the way that he's playing. It's legit. Mm-hmm. So, but it is weird because you've got all of these point guards who need minutes and then these 2 centers that need no minutes who are playing right now, but you have to play them because they play center. So I was going to put this up. I had it queued up.
Didn't want you to forget it.
No, it's fine. Thank you, Erica. Wanted to mention to anybody out there, donations are always welcome and we do appreciate them. It helps us kind of do what we do and keep bringing this content free to you. But the proceeds go directly to the hosts of the Garden Report. So we are extremely thankful for the people that do chip in. And if you don't, we like having you here too. Anyway, it's inflation, right? Right. Keep your money. You don't have to, but again, we do appreciate the contributions and we do enjoy it as well. So we are thankful. Thanks a lot, Erica, and thank you for watching.
Erica wants to get another center.
Another center. But it's funny because during my me gushing over Rob online today. Someone was like, well, would you trade Hauser straight up for him? And I'm like, I mean, sort of. Like the ceiling of Rob is higher than the ceiling of Hauser. There's no question. But on this team, you're dying for wing depth right now, and they just don't have it. And that's what's kind of weird about this team right now. It's constructed weird, not constructed weird, but you have strength in certain places and not in others. So it will be interesting when you do get Porzingis back, just in terms of how you're playing your lineups. But it's one of those good problems to have, not necessarily a bad one. It's just right now at this moment, particularly in a game when Horford sits, you got to find 48 minutes for some center. It's just whether it's
Right.
Luke or Keita, and you've got these three guards kind of fighting it out for minutes. But here's Pritchard, who had an awesome game again tonight, talking about his performance after the game.
I mean, to a point, you don't necessarily need to address it. Like, everybody's very disappointed. I was very disappointed in myself. I felt like I came out with no energy yesterday. And, like, it showed. Like, we had no pop, and, we got humbled yesterday. We didn't respect our opponent, but we came back today, and it showed the character of our team. We came in and fought and got the job done.
What was your approach specifically?
I mean, just come out with energy. I just was not myself last game. Like I said, no pop. Defensively, I didn't like the intensity, shots, not attacking the paint or anything like that. So I was definitely disappointed. So tonight I wanted to come in and, I wasn't like saying I'm going to score a lot, but like just like to attack and then be a problem.
Why was that? Just one of those nights?
Yeah, I mean, you play 82 of them. I think sometimes, you try to keep your routine as precise as possible, but some days you just kind of lacking energy. So mentally you got to like fight through it and you try to pull out those wins.
Apparently he's done. That's it. We're just going to stop him there.
Needed more pop. They needed more pop. He came out with more pop tonight. You can see it.
I like that answer. I like that answer. And I think it's fair. I think we
Pop. That might be a good nickname for Pritchard. Pop. Pritchard.
I think we're still like suffering from like the last Brad team and the first Joe team, and watching them kind of melt in key spots, and like, guys, you got to bring it. Like, you can't, but like, that's why last year, like, my rage went away, because I really didn't think they had to bring it, like, because they corrected themselves so often. I absolutely allow for multiple of those games a year, which is why I don't get really worked up for it. Because for the most part, I think they do it right. But last night was one of several recently, and that's why I think it kind of raised a couple of alarm bells, which is like, yeah, that's still the best one.
That is the best one.
16-2, 16-2 back-to-back games, and then whatever. So it wasn't just yesterday, but yeah, they spent the entire game. That's why, like, if there's any like negative, commentary on today's, because I'm almost viewing these two as a package deal. This was like the second half, of a doubleheader.
Sure.
And it was brutal yesterday, but they owned it, and that's fine. But again, he was great. He mentioned it, you mentioned it, the whole, like, he's just chasing people around 94 feet, and he talked about his intensity, particularly on defense. His defense was awesome tonight.
Yeah. It's effort. I mean, how much of defense is effort? I mean, of course, there's limitations to it based on size and things like that and smarts, but so much of defense is just doing it, right? And again, it goes back to, do you want to drive to the hoop for the hard two in the foul, or do you want to take the step back? Do you want to play defense, or do you want to just get into a shot for shot kind of matchup here and stand around, let the guy behind you collapse if he gets by you? Pritchard is just in your face from one side of the court to the other. He's got no off button. He's obviously a very well-conditioned athlete. Everybody says he's in the gym all day, every day, and it shows out there. And he's just and that's how he got here. That's how he got to the NBA. You look at Payton Pritchard, he wasn't born with, the physical traits of being an NBA player. He had to work for it a lot more than some other people did. So, and he still is. And if he keeps that mentality, he'll be in the league for a long, long time. And Noah might get her wish. He might be MVP someday. I mean, could be the case.
Noah's got to make it an All-Star our team. And again, we joke, but like the joke might be on us here
Totally.
with stuff because he's freaking awesome right now. And I honestly like you love the story because like he is truly a guy. Like I hate the cliches where it's like you take these kind of scrappy underdog players and like Jim Rat loves the game, blah blah blah. But like
But it's
legit.
true.
He's legit one of those guys who's like just goes home and dribbles a basketball. Like that's
Sure.
just what he does. It's nonstop. And you see improvements like clearly year over year. Like he's legit just he's in total control of what he's doing right now. He's never overwhelmed by a moment. He's not overwhelmed by a matchup. He's not just coming in and playing bench units. He's playing against other team starters, and he's absolutely able to do it. So he's a different guy than he was. And it's just every year just adds another layer to it. But like, couple small unsung things, both, his defense, Sam Hauser's defense was excellent as well. Like, you're not like, that's the thing. Like the one of the great things about this team, outside of the 2/3 centers who are playing an inordinate amount of minutes right now because you're down Porzingis and tonight you're down Horford. Like you can't really attack people here on this team. Teams try to do it with Hauser. It doesn't really work. He holds on. He holds his own pretty well. And Pritchard's a legit, like, annoying defensive player who's just up in people's shit, causing turnovers, pressuring the ball. He's annoying. Like, sure, you get a bigger guy on him on a switch, and some people will try to exploit that, and that's going to happen. But he's very, very competitive with on the defensive end now, which is not like you don't have to hide him. As much as you would think you would. So they're just not losing a lot on that end, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. Atlanta tried him, but yeah, low energy. He didn't have pop.
Didn't have pop. Got the pop back.
Didn't have the pop.
Hey.
So I like it. Oh, I'm going to put this up here because again, can we hear the theme music? Because it's going to make me feel better. Can you put it up, Amit?
Wait, can I ask a question? Why is this a vote all of a sudden? This is our theme music. We're
just curious. Yeah. Do we have it?
This is Gelso is like has a vendetta up. Great.
No, just type in practice.
Right there. Should we change the theme song like Nick Gelso wants?
Why are we changing?
Sorry.
The Celtics won a championship with that theme song. Why would we change anything?
Sorry, Nick.
The
bad
and change
take.
it to what? This is like, don't tell us, like, don't say you hate something. Tell us what you want. Like, give us your theme song.
We'll do an intro contest. Anyone wants to send us what they've got? Absolutely. I'd love it. Anyone good with audio mixdowns? Sure. We'll do an intro contest.
Be fun.
I'll give you a hard hat. Fine. I'm announcing it next show. We'll come up with the parameters.
All right. And it has to go against the current theme song, and then people put it to a vote.
Okay. That thing slaps, correct?
It does slap.
No. This was almost a mass ballot question. Do you want to unionize Uber drivers? Do you want legal mushrooms? And should the Garden Report change its theme song?
Yeah. How did legal mushrooms not pass? We missed the ball.
Because if you had called it anything other than psychedelics, people would have voted for it. If it was like, hey, do you want this magic medicine that reduces suicide and anxiety and depression? People would be like, yeah, what's wrong with that? You're taking worse shit on a regular basis, but it's like, do you want psychedelics to be legalized? And everyone's like, no.
Like, whoa, what does that mean?
It's straight verbiage.
When you read it, it was
drugs, and drugs are bad.
It was like a very small dosage of it too, like not enough to make you see things and go.
No, funky. Man. Yeah.
Oh well, we'll get it back in the ballot at some point.
Everyone's just assuming you're just gonna have like a bunch of Timothy Learys, just running around and
yeah.
Anyway.
Stupid.
Okay.
Yeah. MCAS. See you later.
Yeah.
Those who got shot got removed. Speaking of voting, ballot stuff. I don't have any kids in school, so that one didn't affect me much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You,
that one's all good. I've got a few of them. You're playing with the mic again, Jimmy.
I am. That time I was.
Yeah.
That time it was. I'll admit it when I do.
Yeah. There is a chance
How much
There's
getting me
a-
a what do you call it? The thing. I'll be able to like grab it, an arm or something. The mic's gonna be like up here, so I won't be.
Yeah, those are good. Stop playing with the mic
I had to show you.
completely.
Gotcha.
Just like a child.
No more.
You're like Giannis. You're like a child.
How about that? What did you think of that, John? Giannis against Jalen there. Did you already talk about it?
We didn't. I couldn't tell if that was friendly or like I respect the superstar-ness of him, so I'm not gonna make beef here. But Giannis, by the way, saved the Bucks season tonight. Tell you that.
Did he?
The Pistons had them down and they roared back to send it to overtime and win. He had 59, 14, and 7.
Wow.
tonight.
He had 59-14. Damn.
Yeah.
That is nuts. 40
Yeah.
of them at the line. Wah,
Also,
wah.
Wemby with a 50 burger tonight.
Wow. Damn, he's good. Shout out Jacob Toby, former CLNS.
Former CLNS calling the Spurs.
Now
He's in a good
play-by-play.
spot. He's a good and best wishes to Pop, who we hope can jump back in there. But yeah,
But yeah, the Giannis Jalen thing. I wasn't on the show after, but over the like before the season started, Giannis had like very nice things to say about Jalen Brown. I think he said that Jalen Brown was like the real MVP of, or was the best player in the league because he said he was the MVP of the finals, which means he was.
Oh
the
yeah,
best player on the best team.
I didn't even think of that.
So I can't see Giannis doing something out of like
He smiled.
this. Like I know he really is kind of a funny, goofy guy and likes to have fun and all that stuff. And Jalen Brown is, well, the opposite of that. Let's be honest. Jalen Brown's not going to be goofy and not going to be smiling out there on the court or really anywhere in life, it seems. So I can see why he didn't appreciate that, but I don't really think there's anything there. And Giannis actually it actually looked like he was hurt when he found out that Jalen called him a child. It looked like he was like, oh, bummer.
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad.
I do have to sadly report it looks like Robert Williams is not playing back-to-backs at this stage in the season. He's not in tonight.
It's probably for the best.
Timberwolves and Trailblazers are going at it again, and he's not playing. That I was really excited to see what Rob was going to do tonight, but
You thought he was going to do it back-to-back, huh?
no, I didn't. I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Then we can move on.
Couple things that I thought were interesting. We might get sound on this. I know Jalen Brown talked about it, and I'm seeing some reaction. And we don't have footage specifically of this, but we do have. You can see who that is, right? Little KP.
I see him.
He was doing stuff prior to the game.
Little interesting little footwork going on.
Yeah. But there was also, this went on for a bit. He was starting to like rip some dunks and do things that were more athletic, and he was kind of moving a little bit better. I think he's just getting used to kind of like balancing and shooting off of the 1 foot. He was doing that a lot in his warm-ups as well. But Porzingis, like, not only is working out, he's been working out, but it's interesting that he traveled with the team for a workout just on a one-off game. I thought that was interesting, but he was like super noticeable throughout the game and vocal. He got up during a timeout and he was getting, not like in people's face, but like encouragement. He was very like verbal and vocal on the bench. It's just, you're just reading the signs here. Like, you know, his
Trying to get engaged.
Well, everything was talking about December, and he keeps saying, like, I'm hoping sooner. Like, we're legit halfway through November here. One of these days, and I keep refreshing every time I see we get, the Celtics PR has a, private Twitter, account that, media members can get where you get the injuries first before they put them out there. And every time one of those comes through, I'm like, I don't know why that exists, because then the team puts one out like 3 minutes later. We really don't need the secret one. But anyway, we find out a minute earlier.
I have that too.
But every time I'm waiting to read down there and see Porzingis questionable. I swear we're not that far. I swear it's not that far away. It's funny because it's like, how are you going to survive? Well, they're 10-3 right now. And like, I don't think they're going to have to survive much longer. Like, I think, I
mean, there's a
think
couple
it's
of big
coming.
games coming up.
I think
mean,
it's coming
You got
much
the
sooner
Cavs
than
on
we think.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
You got the Timberwolves on the 24th. That's a Sunday national TV game.
Yeah.
Clippers the next day on a Monday. Oh no, there's and then you get the December 1st at Cleveland.
You know what my favorite thing is how everybody is certain they know. We don't know. I don't know.
We don't know anything.
Yeah. But like
about anything.
I think he's like clearly ready. It's just simply a matter of just getting himself into like some semblance of playing shape. Like I can't believe he's like at risk of hurting himself further.
Can you go out there and give him 15 minutes, 7 in the first half, 7, you know what I mean? Like 7 and 8.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it's prudent to wait as long as possible. So no reason to rush. But like everyone's saying 2025. I don't think so. I think it's much sooner.
I think it's going to be a nice little.
And like worried about like don't bring him back and get him hurt. Hey, dude, if he gets hurt in week 1, he'd get hurt in week 5 or
it's not like that.
You can't stop it. It's basketball. Like something is happening. I don't think he's re-injuring this injury by coming back early. Right?
That won't be no. The Celtics.
Yeah.
Celtics won't allow that to be an option. Like they're not stupid.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they're not stupid. They're not
Doctors.
stupid.
Doctors.
Yeah, Jimmy. What while we wait for those guys, I don't know that we have a choice because we don't have theirs. But should we give out Brownie Awards?
Let's give out brownies.
Let's give out some brownies. We're gonna give out Brownie Awards, just Jimmy's and mine because we don't have Noah and Bobby, but we're gonna give out Brownie Award. All right, I like it, Jimmy. Who do you have? Who do you have as your brownie tonight?
My brownie tonight is a guy that I don't even think we've said his name on this show, and that's exactly why he's getting the Brownie Award, because the Brownie Award isn't about the obvious choice all the time. It's not. It's about the guy that just gets it done in some capacity, and he's getting your Brownie Award tonight. And for me, it's Drew Holiday, mostly because I was a little critical of him yesterday. I think I said he no-showed. Tonight I didn't feel that way, and I'm not saying that he lit up the game, but he looked and Noah made a good point last night. He's got to be more assertive out there, and I felt like he was more assertive out there. Certainly, 11 field goal attempts. He must have felt the same way because it looked like he was a little bit more aggressive, physical down low, using his body. He's a big dude, and so I liked what I saw from Holiday tonight. I want to see more of it. I want to see it more regularly, and especially with Derek White going out early, I think a little bit of the onus fell more on Holiday and on the other guards, and so Holiday gets my Brownie Award.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah,
I like it. Mine is boring.
Would be nice.
These are legalized. These are legal Massachusetts brownies.
Do people know what the Brownie Award? Why we call it the Brownie? Some people might not know why we call it the Brownie Award.
I guess we could tell people.
It goes back to
we could tell people.
It goes back to us always being criticized for not talking about Jaylen Brown. So we created an award in Jaylen Brown's name, so that by giving it out, we are essentially talking about Jaylen Brown, even though he's not going to get the award. But the
speculation is Jaylen Brown can't get the Brownie Award.
Yeah.
You can't get it. Mine is boring. I'm giving mine to you gotta earn it. Jaylen Brown can never get the Brownie Award. But I'm giving it to Payton Pritchard, which is boring. But it's for the thing that I said earlier. I swear that it's that they wait until the game begins. Until Pritchard enters the game to start trying now. It's like I said, the point I made earlier. It's
Show us how to try.
Peyton, come in here and try for us, and do that. So that's why I'm giving it to him. Is like it's that like kick in the butt. It's that energy kick in the butt when they come out and they're kind of feeling it out, And it's like when the stars can't do it or aren't doing it for whatever reason, Pritchard just comes in. It's like like I'm just gonna go.
If you're not trying, if the whole team's not trying, it's kind of hidden. But if one guy comes in and he starts running laps around everybody, it's pretty glaring if you're not showing energy and if you're not trying out there. So now they all got to do it. So that's the Payton Pritchard effect. That's pop. That's pop.
That's a good
That's
comment.
pop.
We need someone who likes basketball, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's like, you guys even want to be out here because this guy does.
Yeah,
and so that's why I've given it to him.
This
It's like
guy's
Pritchard's like got both of his hands like on his pants, ready to like strip or rip them off, like when the game begins. Like as soon as Joe looks over, it's like pow pow, and he's up, and he's like, get me in there. The desserts episode will come later. I'm working on it now. Working on it. We are going to work in Bobby Manning,
of dessert,
I believe.
There he is.
Yeah. Bobby Manning. And speaking of
Apple
never
pie.
had anything sweet to eat in her entire life, let's bring in Noah.
That's true.
Yo,
Yeah.
that's a crazy introduction.
Doesn't eat sugar.
doesn't touch this stuff. Has heard of it, but hasn't had any.
Very interesting. So guys, your first impressions, I know you were in there and you were talking to the players. Anything coming out of post game worth talking about here? Or sending to us, Bobby?
It is sent. And
okay, awesome. We'll hear some of it. Yeah.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Bobby. Noah.
I like the self-correction there. I like their ability to just come back one day later and come back off a rough start in this game too. I didn't like where this game was going early and just find their offense on the fly. And you guys talked about Pritchard quite a bit.
Some things were said, Noah. We'll explain it later.
What?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
He was the driving force of the self-correction in this game. And I was listening to our show yesterday, and I think, Noah, you were talking about like Hauser being a little bit of a bellwether for this offense. Is he getting quality shots? Are they setting him up? And the way Pritchard was finding him early in his stint, and again, that came in like 3 minutes into the game because of White's foul trouble and a uncharacteristically awful first quarter for White there. The way he came in and not only energized them, but established something. Jalen was saying after the game that they almost have to start to encourage him a little bit more over the course of the season to keep him this involved and run things through him at times, because he said it's going to be a long season. There's going to be games like yesterday, and Pritchard obviously put a lot of it on himself, him not being at the same level he's been to start this year yesterday. But their encouragement of him, they're looking for him, and Brown was like, I'll give up the ball to let Tatum run or Pritchard run the offense here. Again, how many times are we going to say it, John? We didn't picture him being a 30-minute-a-game guy for this team. Feels like he's going to play 30 minutes almost every night this year, regardless of who's in.
Yeah. Well, that was what we were talking about. This is an odd comment, but I don't want to get into it right now because I already kind of said it with Jimmy. But
what was the comment?
It is interesting. Well, the roster construction is a little weird right now in the sense that, like, you're almost back to where you were when you had Brogdon and Marcus and Derek. You have 3 point guards, all of whom deserve to play. Like, you never thought Pritchard would enter the equation alongside Derek White and Drew Holiday, who are both just played in the freaking Olympics, and their value in terms of what they can do on both ends of the floor is unquestioned and understood and respected by all. And I honestly think like those two, as much as Tatum and Brown, are a huge reason why you win the title last year, because again, they were that calming force, the grown-ups in the room, the people that always did everything right the whole way through. And now Pritchard is like, you're going to have games where you're like, as we had with that other trio, where it's like, Marcus shouldn't be closing tonight. It should probably be this guy, or they need this person in there right now, or Brogdon's playing better than him. And like, you might have those nights where you're like, how are you taking Pritchard out of this game with the 3 guards? Because he played himself into that conversation, which is just insane to me.
And they can't get to that lineup, John. I know you like the idea of it, but with your full lineup intact with the 2 wings, you can't get to the 3.
You can't get there when they're all there. So yeah, what are you going to do? Just play Tatum as the 5? Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, Noah's
dying.
Well, I can't focus on the show until I know what's going on here.
Noah's dying to defend herself against the Tatum slander.
I just don't know what this is about. What's going on here?
You tell us.
I know, seriously.
What did I miss?
Nothing. We talked about how this was a switching off of Pritchard. We talked about how this was a near perfect Tatum game, but looking at kind of trying to figure out what's bugging me or us about Tatum sometimes. You see a game like this, which is a near perfect game, and where he plays the way you're supposed to by attacking the rim and doing all of those things. And then that kind of filters out to everything else. He's passing better. He's taking more open looks from three, and like everything improves. And then like, obviously defensively, he's better. And we said last night, which even Noah pointed out, his defense was spotty. And they're like, damn, Noah, Noah taking shots at Tatum. So it became that you hate Jason Tatum. So that's fine. But anyway, Noah, we haven't given you a chance to kind of chime in on your thoughts on tonight's game.
No, I mean, it was super impressive because honestly, I do think this Nets team is better than we expected going into the season. And then they started off, I was like, are we about to watch them go down like double digits again? And then we did. And so that probably makes this win more impressive, is the fact that it wasn't that they came out of the gate and couldn't miss. In fact, they came out of the gates and couldn't hit a shot. They missed their first 5. Derek White had 3 turnovers in the first 4 minutes. And then to go from there to now you're up by 30 later on, it just shows you that this team is not going to be rattled. And like, we can get rattled, the fans can get rattled, like that's fine. But I think the fact that Jason Tatum and Joe Mazzulla and all these guys are like this always, and they're not going to give us the quotes and they're not going to freak out. Like ultimately, it's why this team has been so successful. And Tatum talked about a post game. He said, I've been in the league for 7 years. There's a lot of ups and downs, and ultimately, like, you can't get too high, you can't get too low, and they're not going to freak out because they lost to a Hawks team that has no stars on there, because that's what happens in the NBA. And they came back today and showed everybody that why they were the champions last year, and just loved Tatum's approach, loved the spark that Pritchard provided.
Bobby, the paper flipping is brutal, Bobby.
Sorry,
it's
I was gonna show you the Cornet stat line.
I bet you were.
4, 5, 3 assists. He's back.
That's what I do.
Okay, we're not there yet. But on the Tatum stuff, Noah, we were talking about earlier, the conversation was trying to figure out what it is that's kind of that weird like itch I can't scratch when it comes to Tatum, because you watch and then you see it and you're like, I guess it was good, but something's bugging me. And then very simple, just digging into the numbers. You remove the Knicks game, he's not shooting well at all this year. Like just one game, you remove just the Knicks game. Heading into tonight, 42 overall field goal percentage, 35 from 3, 52 EFG, like not great. And like how much of that is just like we were so quick to be like, oh, he fixed his shot after one game. And it's like, is the shot something he's still fighting, or is it a shot selection sort of thing? Is it his shot profile? Is he starting? You have a comment?
Well, Joe talked about this in general, not the shot, but he talked post-game about how this whole idea of like fixing something, like it's not fixed and it's not broken. It's everything is kind of like a constant process. And he was talking about the Celtics in general, and like their defense and their turnovers and all the big things we were talking about yesterday. But I also think it applies to the shot a little bit, because we have this obsession of like, is the shot fixed? Is it not? I've chosen to say that I'm not a shot doctor, and I'm not going to evaluate every single day whether the hitch is there or not, because I start to like imagine things when I'm watching. But yeah, I think ultimately like he's gonna have ups and downs. He's not gonna be a 40+% 3-point shooter like that. He hasn't been that for a long time. Like that's most likely not gonna be the case, but he doesn't need to be able to dominate the game still. And like today he dominated in so many different areas, and he happened to shoot 5 of 6 from 3.
Which is fine, but again, I always wonder how much it has to do with what he's choosing to do. And so today, I thought the game totally turned on Jason. I thought tonight's game turned when Tatum started attacking, and as soon as that happened, it opened everything up. His game, and then the entire team, and then everything started to flow. And again, Bobby was texting us on the group thread about threes that they weren't three-point attempts that weren't
the threes early.
Early, they weren't really earned; they were just taken, and then everything felt that's a good one, and they worked for that. And again, it's like the blueprint is so clear, not only for how the team needs to do to play well, but for what Tatum needs to do to be the catalyst for it. So it always is weird. And putting up Dirk's super chat here again, and thanks, Dirk. I see that the one for the team, one for me, but I think that's ridiculous if somebody's operating with that kind of mentality, almost like, I'll do the studio picture and then I'll do the indie picture, I think that's silly. Like, I think we're way past that, where Tatum's just going to be like, today I'm just going to goof around and see if my shot's falling because I want to get hot. I don't think that's his mentality. I think somewhere in the back of his mind, he's thinking like, that's who I am. I'm this guy. And he's not that guy. But he's so good at everything else. Like a game like tonight,
he takes the heat checks.
It's stunning to me. He's never averaged more than 5 assists in a game. I know assist numbers aren't over the course of a season. It's stunning to me. He has 2 triple doubles in his career. This is a guy with the skill set. You're watching LeBron get back-to-back 30 triple doubles at the age of 39. Like, if Tatum played like LeBron, he'd just be stacking these on a regular basis.
Dude.
What I'm saying is just simply the style versus like I'm just going to sit here and So
Well,
I
it's a
always
LeBron's
LeBron's
thing
bigger,
too, right?
LeBron can play like LeBron because he's bigger and better and all this.
but here's Tatum. Tatum talked about shot selection. I'm not sure what he said, but I'm going to put it up here.
Just the flow.
Bet you it's awesome.
Just trying to make the right read all the time, and the right read for myself might look different for somebody else, and the game is so fast. Sometimes you might misread it or whatever, but just trying to be intentional about who's on the floor with you, what are we trying to accomplish, who are we trying to attack, and then just make the right read. I was getting the matchup I wanted. They would start doubling. Somebody was open. We attacked the rim. They converge, kick it out to Sam for the 3. So the answer is most of the time in front of you, and then there's time where you feel like you got the matchup you want. You get to your spot, and it's to make a mistake. Sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't.
I like how he's finding Jalen later in this game too. There's nothing I like more when those two are connecting. And Tatum's going to be the perimeter threat for this team a lot of the times. That's just how they're set up. I don't always think it's his choice. I think that's how their offense is set up. And Brown's going to be the guy who puts pressure on the rim, and they missed it. No, like when he was out, they didn't have a guy who was constantly pressuring the rim. And as John said, he started to do that tonight early, and it was necessary because I didn't think threes were there for them. There was so much ball pressure from the Nets. The Nets' ball pressure was awesome in this game. I thought Zaire Williams gave Tatum a lot of trouble and forcing turnovers and knocking guys off the ball, and even just laying hard hits that weren't fouls early, and the refs, ended up calling them later, and it was a parade to the free throw line. But love Brown's pressure on the rim. Tatum, when he's got the 3 going, the Sherrod always says it's top 5 Tatum. Just know I said early, it's going to come in waves. It's going to come in waves.
But it can't be 1 out of 4 games. If you're going to be that guy, it can't be 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 games where you get super hot, because then it's not like that's not.
Well, if he was always hot, John, he'd be the best player in the league.
I know, but it's like you'd think it'd be 1 on, 1 off, or like one out of 3 and the other 2 average. But it's like he's only like really striping it, like twice this year, maybe 3 times. But
from a percentage standpoint, I've said it a million times. If he could cut out 2 to 3 shots a game that are ill-advised,
that's all it
would
takes.
Make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. He just you see him loading this shot, and it's like just don't. And when it goes in, it's even worse. His first one that dropped tonight was a I'm shooting this no matter what step back 3. And I was like, please don't go in. And it did. And I was like, oh God, this is the night it's going to be. And thankfully it wasn't. He actually, I mean, again, as we said, he went downhill on it. Guys, other thoughts on tonight? And again, the kind of get right game here. People were talking about like the mentality, this is kind of what we credited them with last year of not really like wearing it or getting into slumps or letting this stuff affect them, even though they'd been playing and getting away with it. Last night, you think it was a legit wake-up call?
I think so. I was actually like, I think the loss was good because they've skirted through a couple wins with bad habits and slow starts and things. And I feel like last night it bit them and it showed them, it actually just, you can't get away with it for too long before it catches up with you. My big takeaway from tonight, though, besides the fact that Tatum and Brown both really kind of put the team on their back and really approached things well from after the first few minutes, they were pretty rough, is just Payton Pritchard and not just the scoring, because I think the 3-point shooting has been there all year and we've talked about it and we've seen it. But the defense, like, I don't know what it is, but the vantage point that I had today, just watching, you could just see his defense much better than I can see it from up where I normally sit at TD Garden, and just deflections. I think he had 3 steals, block, just all over the place. And I think we've always viewed him as a defensive liability, as somebody that's like, like a Jalen Brunson. Like maybe he can be an undersized guard that can do a lot, but defensively he's gonna always have something to give up, and there's gonna be the size thing always. But he's an asset defensively a lot of times, and tonight was one of those times where he just sets the tone, and so he changed the complexion of this game. When Derek White was struggling early on, he had a couple turnovers. Joe turned and looked for Payton Pritchard like he was like his savior. He was like, get in the game, and Pritchard sprinted down the bench, and it was like you just know what happens when you check in, and he comes in and brings that energy. And everybody talked about it post game. Jaylen Brown said we're getting used to it. He's excellent. We're starting to just expect it. It's just the thing now that I don't think people are realizing the numbers that he's putting up off the bench today: 23 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Like that's crazy. That's just a regular performance nowadays for him. It doesn't even stand out. It wasn't even the first thing that then we said.
Yeah, and he's gotten his defensive numbers from like the 70s down to 48, which is a big difference because those weren't looking great early on. And with more games, more opportunities here, he is starting to turn it around on that end.
Yeah, we joked about it earlier, but I said exactly that. Noah was like, I almost feel like the Celtics of late have just been sitting and waiting for Pritchard to enter the game to like wake them all up. And as soon as he comes in, you kind of notice the snap of that extra energy where.
And I didn't notice it. He played the whole first half after coming in. He played the whole first half after coming in.
Crazy.
Damn, I didn't notice that either, actually.
We should call him Nice Crispy Snap Crackle Pop. That's my nickname for him, Bobby.
That was already for a while, huh?
Nice Crispy.
Jimmy.
What do you think it is, Bobby?
Come on. We had it in 2021.
Yeah, are you staying with it?
The Boston Pea Party.
That's the best one by far.
Yes. I've never heard that one.
The Boston Pea Party was born here.
Because ridiculous people ran with P Rabbit or whatever it was without consulting us, but we came up with the best nickname. I think it was one of the viewers. Came up with it.
The Boston Pea Party.
We had a graphic and everything. Ahmed, I don't know if you have it.
We're gonna keep running with the Pea Party. I do like Nice Crispy, but Pea Party is probably where it's at.
I don't get the crispy one.
Well, because he's got a lot of pop. And somebody just said snap. John just said snap.
So, a cereal is this thing that people eat, and some of it has sugar.
Oh, right.
We can talk about this offline.
There's no sugar in Rice Krispies. You might actually be able to try it.
I've had Rice Krispies. Thank you very much.
One more thing.
You'll love Nice Crispy.
No, you were big on the Porzingis stuff tonight, and I saw it too.
I know. I couldn't stop. I was trying to control myself post game. I didn't ask
We
Tatum
talked about this, that he was all geeked up and talking to people all game.
He was out. I mean, again, better vantage point today, but every time out break, he walked over to the basket and was pantomiming, shooting. He was like talking to everybody nonstop. You can tell that he's on the brink of return. Like that was my conclusion.
That's it.
And we don't have any sources. Like nobody said it, but you could feel it. Like you could just feel that he's going to be back really, really soon. And he was like he couldn't stop like doing like the fake shots from the bench. He was just all over the place. And his energy is always
I think even looking at him in those workouts, and I know it's a small amount, but
he's ready.
It looks like what we saw before the finals. Those glimpses of what he was doing out there.
And we had this convo earlier. That I have the same takeaway as based on no information, just simply vibe. The fact that he went to the game, period.
Well, he's doing all of them,
and he's been going to a lot of them.
He's out there and he's on this one off on the back to back. I was like, why is he? But he goes and he works out again and he does his thing, and then he's on the bench and he's getting up every single time out, and he's going and he's talking to people and he's super active, and he's like engaged in a way that felt like he was like, even just the cutaways on the bench, he's like talking like someone who's like, I keep saying I'm waiting for one of those Celtics PR notifications, and I'm going to look down and it's going to say Porzingis questionable, and I swear it's coming soon.
December.
In
December.
Well, yeah, I think they know. Everyone thinks they know. But we talked about the complacency here. And first, I just want to show you.
I think that
this
for us,
was
this is going to be a mentality.
Oh, I haven't seen this one.
What? The Pea Party?
Long is just
Why is this playing sound?
Damn it.
My God.
That's the Pea Party right there.
That's the Pea Party.
I like
that's
this
the Pea
one.
Party right there.
Maybe he's talking about Pritchard in the audio, and that's what it's for.
Yeah. Jaylen Brown, also solid game tonight after being a monster last night. 24 points to 12 rebounds again. I also love seeing between the best number of the night, which we didn't talk about last night, Tatum and Brown, 11 turnovers. Tonight, Tatum and Brown, a single turnover. Jaylen has 0. Big difference. Tatum, obviously, with the 10 assists as well. So that's a huge improvement. Jaylen Brown talked about the complacency and combating it and coming back and winning tonight.
I think the biggest challenge for us is just continuing to find joy, just being competitive, not going through the motions and stuff like that. Like complacency starts to set in once you know you feel like you're the better team, and then you just don't do your job. So I think that for us, it's just going to be a mentality all season long, is just to be aggressive and just take care of business from beginning to end. I think that'll be our biggest challenge.
And there's Jaylen Brown. But Brown was, again, solid tonight, a little bit overshadowed because Tatum had, one of those types of games. But thoughts on Brown, again, back-to-back good games after, kind of And that's talking Jaylen.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. No, he puts pressure on the rim, and they need that. I don't think there's anyone else that does it to the level he does, especially against physical defense, especially against big defenders inside. And he had a stretch too, John. You mentioned Tatum's stretch of getting downhill. Jaylen had his own in that first half. I think it was the second quarter. Tatum was the first, right, or vice versa. So they needed that in this game. The threes weren't there early. I think they needed to be able to open up the paint, and those two guys played through some physicality to get it done. And Joe had some interesting comments before the game, I thought. Scal asked them if teams are playing them differently this year. They see something different when teams are going against them compared to others when they're, looking ahead to teams. And Joe said it's been a more physical league this year. He thinks they're allowing more physicality, and that's something that the Celtics have to adjust to here. And I think Brown is the tone setter in many ways when it comes to that. But Tatum's going downhill more too, getting to the free throw line more and playing through that physicality. There was a stretch of this game, as we often see now, where he's frustrated with the officials and he's looking for calls and things like that. But in terms of actual gameplay, he's playing through contact. He's playing through multiple defenders in the rim, and I think he's doing a good job of it because they need it. I think there's only two guys on this team that can do that, really open up the rim area, and that's as important as the threes.
Something funny Joe said the other day, I think it was before last night's game, is that he doesn't mind complaining to the officiating because sometimes you can manipulate it and it's a good thing.
Joe's fine with everything. Nothing's
I know,
wrong.
but but I even felt like watching, every now when I'm watching Tatum complain, I'm like, you never know. I do think he gets a lot of makeup calls. He really does. I've been starting to track his complaining, and later on he does get rewarded for it. I still think obviously he's getting a little bit distracted at points. But just on the Jaylen point, John, did you ask? Second quarter, he had 13 points and 7 rebounds just in the second quarter, and that was the quarter that he played in its entirety. And that was an important one. It went from they were trailing to they regained a lead going into the half. And I feel like sometimes he just has these stretches where he just asserts himself on the game, and you can just feel him in all aspects. And that was one of those, and that's kind of what he's so important to this team for, is that they were really missing that.
Overall, what do you guys think? We're 12 games into it, and again, I know Brown missed 4 games with the hip issue. But what do you guys think of the change substitution pattern that's been going on all year with Tatum playing the entire first quarter and Brown being the first one coming out and then coming in and running that second quarter offense when Tatum starts on the bench?
It's important because, I think
ahead.
they've cut off some of his runs at times. And you've said it, John. I think shifting in the other direction, allowing him to gain momentum early, allowing him to get shots up and ease his way into the game.
It's huge for Tatum, but it hasn't been great for Brown. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, what do you think?
Because Brown was normally the cooking in the first quarter guy, and that hasn't happened as much. And now Tatum's the one who's putting up monster first quarters. And then Tatum was always better running with the second unit than Brown. That was always kind of like the philosophy behind it. But why have we talked to Joe about why the switch in terms of how that works now? And do you guys think it's working?
I think it's working. My interpretation of it, and I don't know that he's been asked it of late. I feel like he might have been asked it earlier in the season. But my interpretation of it is just trying something else, just to have have the data on it, to have it in their toolkit. It wasn't like it didn't work last year. I mean, they won how many games? 64 games with Jaylen Brown playing the entire first quarters. And so Tatum had a great season, Brown had a great season. But I think that he's experimenting with different things, like last game, having both of them play the entire first. Jaylen has mentioned this season at some point that it's been a little bit of an adjustment for him to not play the entire first. So I bet if he could pick, he would play the entire first quarters. But I wouldn't be surprised if they mix it up and it's not this way the entire season. And this is just something that they're working out and kind of assessing and taking data on.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that Tatum's going to get the ball moving a little bit more, get guys touches, just get the offense rolling. Because the one thing with Brown, even when he's at his best and just killing guys in isolation and getting a bunch of shots to go, a lot of it does come playing in his own world there. And he's come a long way as a playmaker, but Tatum is the better table setter there throughout the flow of the first quarter. So the one thing you don't want between those two is my turn, your turn. I've said it a million times. They're best with Tatum as the initiator, Brown as the finisher, and they're able to get that through the flow of the game with this.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap things up. We're gonna get Jimmy and I have given ours, but we're gonna get your selections for tonight's. Now, Noah, who might be new to the show, we just had to ask her who's your underrated player of the game. But the Brownie Award, the genesis of it, Noah, is that we didn't talk about Jaylen Brown enough, at least according to the viewers of the show. And so we came up with a Brownie Award that we would give to somebody who typified everything that Jaylen Brown would have done if we decided to talk about him in a show or not, but usually kind of the unsung hero sort of thing, like it's kind of our Tommy Award, but who's the person who kind of deserves the brownie for tonight? And Noah, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I picked Sam Hauser just because I don't know if you guys talked about him, but I thought that he came in, brought energy, hit a few early threes when they really needed them. And obviously there's the guys we talked about, I thought, were more impactful, but he's somebody that, hitting 4 threes, coming off the bench. He really hasn't had a lot of these games so far. And his rebounding has just been pretty consistent, and it's something that they have needed. And a couple of guys I felt like made a concerted point to be extra aggressive on the glass, and he was one of them. So he's my underrated performer of the day. And by the way, I love brownies. I've had brownies before. I have brownies in my house right now. So thanks so much, everybody. But I want you guys to know that it's actually my favorite dessert. So
are they like, is
the
there
real
something
dessert?
Is there like something funky with them, or are they just straight up brownies?
Well, they're vegan because I'm vegan, but you would never know if you tasted them.
Do you put chocolate chips in them?
I don't make them. I buy them.
Okay. Okay.
But
okay. We'll have to have a taste off.
Yeah.
We'll blindfold John and we'll ask him to pick his favorites. You're the dessert king. You're the pie king.
The connoisseur.
Yeah.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me. I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it because I am 100% certain that you would not be able to tell.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yes, you would not be able to tell. I promise you. But
I will say this.
I'll bring you into the game on Saturday. Okay?
I showed you guys.
How would you know? You've never had a regular one.
I have. I wasn't raised vegan. I was raised vegetarian.
Right.
I will.
Candy though.
I do have a great recipe for spinach brownies too. Brownies. I'm just kidding. Last year, I showed you guys the picture of it. Last year, I made one of my favorite desserts I've ever made, which is a pecan pie brownie. Holy crap, are those good?
That's a good combination.
Oh my goodness!
Pecan pie brownie. I don't even know. My brain doesn't even comprehend that.
Yeah,
brownies go well with the nuts.
Yeah, they do. Sure. Do we play the animation one more time for Bobby's or just let it rip?
No, we play one more time.
Play one more time. Bobby's. Here comes Bobby's
brownie.
Brownie Award. Can you guys guess without telling us? Bobby, you've got some real balls here, buddy. I got to tell you.
I'm actually.
I'm sure you guys didn't mention him once tonight, so someone had to do it. 27 minutes, back in action. He's been sitting. He's been on the back burner now since Kata's emergence. Gave you some good energy in this one. And Tatum's rattling off the names after the game. It's Pritchard, Hauser, giving them something. Cornette part of that mix. And those three together,
Wow.
it's a good combination. And if there's anything that positive coming out of Cater's emergence that he's starting a game like this, is that you have Luke, Hauser, Pritchard back together. And those three just have great chemistry. Cornette, he's getting guys handoffs, 3 assists, good
Getting
table
guys
setting
handoffs.
offensively out there. And
Did
at
you
one
wanna
point,
waste-
his only
He's
miss
leading the team in handoffs.
I just
his only
can't
miss
believe-
of the game was a one-handed
No, you
alley-oop
do
that
it. No,
almost went
no,
down.
I don't have
No,
the
I
heart.
don't dispute his performance. He was fine. I'm just laughing at Bobby registering that Tatum mentioned him at the podium and being like,
Yeah.
like he got the Tatum
You know,
shot.
Bobby
I'm
got-
not
We
gonna-
got the
Bobby
best.
One
We
of
got the
us.
best.
One of us. One of us.
We
Give
got
him a
the
little
best
fist
bench in
bump.
the league: Pritchard, Hauser, Cornette.
I wish we had a
That's what she
reaction
said.
cam on you when
I
that was
don't know
said.
if he was thinking. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
but,
Bobby's brownie.
I
It's
mean-
Bobby's brownie award. He can give it any way
Jimmy,
he
he
wants.
hasn't played. He's
I
your
would
third
say-
center.
I would say that's probably the vegan version of the brownie award right there. If I had.
That is the most vegan brownie award in history.
Yeah.
No, think about it,
That
You
Jimmy.
guys are disrespecting the vegan brownies.
He hasn't played. He hasn't played in many games here. Comes in tonight. They need him to get going. Cater's in some foul trouble, right? So they need extra minutes. And he gave them some real solid minutes in this game. So that's staying ready. He ended up in the stay ready crew, and he was ready to go tonight.
Okay.
But yeah, he's back to your third center, Jimmy. So that's where he's gonna stay, I guess.
Jeez, Bobby.
Yeah.
Don't be so bent out of shape.
Horford, Cada.
You never
Cornette.
know. You never know. Things change. Matchups. Things happen.
Injuries.
Yeah, we don't wish injuries on anybody, but things can change.
Foul
One
trouble.
day you're the starting center, the next you're at the end of the bench, then you're the third. This team. The one thing we did say, Bobby,
Cada was back to fouling tonight, though.
before you
too.
guys got on the show, we said it doesn't really matter who the hell is in there at center. There's 4
It doesn't.
all-stars around them.
Eh,
You just
it
have
does
to
a little bit.
just have to make the most out of it and score 130 points with them in the game, regardless of who it is. That's kind of where we're at with it.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like we're so hyper fixated when either of them get scored on, Cada or Cornette, when it's like there's 120 points being scored in a game. Like there's so many.
Not.
No, I think we are. We talk about it a lot.
No, but I mean, it's like the second Kada gets scored on, Bobby sends a text. He's like, take
I'm not in the group chat. I don't know.
He's like, oh, Kada just got dusted. I'm like, well, yeah, as you said, it's like they scored 120 points. Like you're not gonna not give up buckets. And
It's
I
the
thought
fouling, not the baskets.
it's
I more
both.
mean in general, when you're evaluating a guy who's in and out of the rotation, it's much easier to spot their mistakes because they might not be in the rotation tomorrow. So the second they get scored on or anything, they make a mistake in the schemes or whatever, they foul, they do something stupid. It's like, okay, that's Tillman's big play for the week. We're not going to see him again. Whereas like the regular guys are constantly making mistakes and they're getting blown by, and it's just part of basketball. So I'm more saying that.
But like, I mean, like every big man who gets taken out, away from the basket and has to, defend Dennis Schroeder, like is not going to fare well. Like that's
Right,
just
exactly.
the Nets did a good job getting him out, pulling him out of the paint there, and putting him out in space, and that's always going to be difficult. I mean, we've seen the best of the Celtics centers really struggle out on the perimeter against Golden State or whatever, and not being able to get over on screens or playing drop and getting buried, and that one of those. Kada gets blown by Schroeder once or twice, and then Luke drops like 50 feet into the paint and gives up an open 3, and Joe calls a timeout. So like, there's always going to be issues there when you've got these guys and you put them in actions or you get them out in space. It's just difficult. That's what teams look to take advantage of. Those or mismatches. I don't know that it's dependent on one. With Kada, it's when he's flopping all over the place that I get a little bit frustrated. When it's like, dude, it's over there. Like the action's over there. Like, what are you looking over here for? He can sometimes get a little bit lost, or he's not reacting quickly enough to where he needs to be or what he needs to do, or just maybe a half step slow. But otherwise, again, he still acquits himself fairly well with a couple of putbacks and an alley-oop. He's still a vertical threat. First block he had, his hands up over the square, and that's just stuff that not a lot of people can do. So, I mean, it was, I thought, a mixed bag from both the centers. But Jimmy and I talked about it earlier. It's like this is where we go back to the imbalance. You've got 3 guards who need to play 30-plus minutes a night, 3-point guards, and then you've got 2 centers that need to play no minutes a night, who are playing 48. Like, in a normal world, when Porzingis and Horford are both healthy, there are games where those guys might not see the floor, period, or if they do, it's for 8 minutes, and you're trying to squeeze 48, 50 minutes out of these guys in a game. That's a lot. I mean, that's beyond it. When do you see people struggle? When they have to play out of their depth a little bit. If a guy's used to running with the second unit, playing 15, 20 minutes a game, you put them in a starting lineup, they're going to struggle a little bit trying to keep up with that and playing against starters in the flow of the game. You take a third center and you play him 25, 30 minutes a game, he's going to get exposed from time to time. So I think it's just you're living with it now if you're the Celtics. And honestly, Bobby, they're surviving it way better than we imagined. You were a little bit of a doomer, I have to say, with Porzingis being out and how much that would affect him in the early going. I think testament to the fact that Kornet and Keita have not been unplayable. There's no reason to throw hyperbole in there about how good they've been. They've each done some things well, or at least well enough to not sink the whole ship. And we thought it would be rockier than this, and it hasn't been.
Yeah, no, but it's relative to their role and their expectations. So, when you get great games from either one of them, relative to them being the third center or fourth center, whichever you prefer, that's where you do start to get excited about those guys. And not many teams have that capability. You look at what the Knicks are going through. The Thunder don't have any centers left. So you have 5. And we'll see if Tillman can get back in the mix here at some point. But the versatility, the mix, the price of these guys, 3 minimum guys giving you these kind of minutes, it's impressive. And once you have Porzingis and Horford back, maybe that glues some lineups together a little better. And this is another game. The rim protection's not great here. And that's the one thing I'm just going to keep nitpicking with this team is they're really struggling to protect the rim. And we'll see if they can figure it out once Porzingis gets back. It should solve a lot of things, but it bugs me. It really does.
Yeah. What does?
The rim protection.
Oh, yeah. But again, we've been over the numbers here. Like, it's been better because of Keita. We can't ignore that. Like, significantly better when he's in there, the rim protection. And the other team's ability to score there. Significantly better. So it's good.
After
and again,
Are
you gonna Joe Mazzulla me here and tell me where they rank?
23rd.
We're the 3rd defense.
23rd.
We're 3rd league, Bobby. Couple other things before we wrap it up. Crazy night in the NBA. Giannis goes for 59, maybe saves the Bucks season in an overtime win coming from behind against the Pistons. 59, 14, and 7. Wemby gets his first 50-point game tonight for the Spurs in only 32 minutes, I think, which was bananas. But a couple other things happen. The Cavaliers remain undefeated, 114-106 win over the 76ers, who played nobody. Again, Paul George and Embiid putting that theory to work here. There are not back-to-back.
It must be so painful being a Sixers fan
right now.
I can't even imagine. For a wicked long time, it must be so painful being a Sixers fan. And and by the way, I hate Sixers fans, so I don't have any. I don't really care, but I can only imagine how painful it is.
Yeah. But the story here, if you're the Celtics, the Sixers, is so interesting. Just we talked about who's going to be, their biggest test here. But this is coming. It's Tuesday, and it's an NBA Cup game, and you've got a bit of a trap game with Toronto on Saturday. But this is exciting. You really hope Cleveland comes in here undefeated, don't you?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Not the team that we would have guessed, but they've been just finding ways to win every single night. I'm looking at the box scores. Crazy box scores night.
What does Cleveland have?
It really was, right? It's a crazy night.
Bulls and Hornets shimmy, so feasible for sure.
They should beat those teams.
Yeah, Chicago beats the Knicks as well tonight. You're talking about another team we thought was,
I don't like where the Knicks are at.
It's early in the year, but the Knicks 5-6 right now, playing a really weird style of basketball. They can't figure it out. Again, this might be one of those trades that hurt both teams. We'll see, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't love it for anybody right now. in terms of the reshuffling of the deck chairs with both Minnesota and New York. But again, it's early, so we'll figure out. But Tuesday is going to be super exciting. We, however, are back on Saturday as the Celtics host Bobby's favorite team, the Toronto Raptors. Wouldn't it just be perfect, Bobby, if we have Raptors in a big Luke Cornett game? What would make you happier? Is there anything? Maybe a nice vegan brownie to top it off? That's all we need?
That would be a great Saturday.
I love it. That would be a great Saturday. Noah's bringing it to the garden. She's handing them out to everybody.
I'm bringing the brownies for the NBA Cup night. It just texted me that, and I think that's a good plan. So if anybody wants to try vegan brownies, come to the
Vegan
in-season
brownies,
tournament.
green court. What do you got?
Hard hats, and vegan brownies.
I'll bring it up so that if there are any fans that see me at the garden, I will bring you a brownie.
Yeah.
I'll bring a few boxes.
Could have worn this.
All right. Tonight. We love it. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us here as the Celtics take down the Nets in a nice little get right win after a really ugly and disappointing loss against the Hawks last night. Celtics beat the Brooklyn Nets 139-114. Offensive explosion. Great numbers across the board. Love seeing the 35 assists above all else here. Really slinging the ball around. Outstanding game. Great for Jason Tatum, Payton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown. Thanks to Noah and Bobby who shipped off to Brooklyn this morning for this game, covering the game for us there. Make sure you read Noah over on Celtics blog, Bobby on CLNS Media, and check out our merch store. Jimmy, what do we have? Is this the right promo code? No, that's
the wrong one. Come on.
I can't find it anymore. There it is. It's here.
It's
Banner
there.
19, 20% off. Jimmy showed you the hard hat. It's right there. Check it out.
Hard hat. We got some shirts. We're also working on, they're not up yet, but we're going to have some winter clothing available. So maybe some long sleeves, a sweatshirt, a
Those
beanie.
of you who ski, maybe a little beanie.
Yep.
Bobby can wear his. Bobby, you should have worn the beanie tonight in Brooklyn, you little hipster. There it is.
Yeah. Where's the beanie?
It's not that cold down here.
Yeah. That thing screamed Brooklyn. If you're wearing
a beanie in the garden,
if you're wearing the Gilligan's Island when you go to Vegas and Miami, you got to wear the hipster beanie when you go to Brooklyn.
And you got to get the mustache back for Brooklyn.
We'll be back. All right, cool. Thank you guys again. We do appreciate you hanging out with us as the Celtics win. For myself, Noah, Bobby, and Jimmy, and my inability to find the outro music, I will extend this just a second longer and say goodnight. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have one more thing to tell you. One more thing. Man. I know, just one thing. I just have to find the graphic. First to the floor. You want more basketball talk? First to the floor, one of my favorite podcasts on the CLNS Media Network. I might call it my favorite, but I love these guys. They're up, they're live right after the game. They're waiting for us to wrap it up. We've been going on long enough, so make sure you hang around and check out those guys. The Aussies, always fun, always entertaining, always smart, and good basketball talk for those who want to continue the conversation. Go out and check those guys out. Thank you guys for hanging out.
Wait, Amit's got an outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game. Forfeit's out. I think it's an auction. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.